Do things really just happen to people? Or is it not so random? Right. Now, what do I mean by that? I was reading a quote the other day, and the quote was, there is a cause for everything in the universe. And these things like randomness and coincidence, they don't really exist in the way that you think, right? That means any guy who has negative interactions with people, right? Who starts a negative interaction with a person, he's going to have a lot of negative things happen to them, right? So, what do I mean by that? Basically, what I mean by that is if you have something happening to you and it's a consistent thing that's happening to you, it's not as random as you might think, right? If you have unhealthy relationships with people, unhealthy relationships with women specifically, and it's happening on a consistent basis, sometimes, okay, maybe one time it was about the other person. Sometimes it was something that you're doing. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, where did I mess up? Sometimes you have to ask yourself, where could this have gone better? You know what I mean? Sometimes you really need to do that, right? And sometimes things don't really just happen out there in the world. Sometimes if you see a guy online complaining that a lot of bad things are happening to them, sometimes he is also guilty of starting stuff with people. He is guilty of doing something that leads up to that. Very rarely will you see someone live life on a positive note and have negative things happen to them. It's pretty much impossible if you have someone who's on a positive note, positive mindset. It's pretty much impossible for them not to have positive things happen to them. And it's pretty much impossible for a guy who's on the negative to have positive things happen to him, right? That's pretty much what it is. A lot of things in this world aren't random, right? Before that person did something messed up to you, whether it was a man or a woman, they were probably thinking about it for a while. And you want to know why they were thinking about it for a while? Because it was probably growing. It was probably a fat stack of negative interactions that you had with the person that led to the problem growing and led to them taking action on doing something that was messed up. So we learn to avoid situations like that. We learn the best course of action is early on before problems like that develop. And we learn how to prevent those situations from happening to begin with.